Namaste, everybody. PTSD traits. What are those traits? What is going on here? So, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, is a mental health condition that's triggered by a terrifying event, either experiencing or witnessing. Dive into this. We'll just make this short, direct to the point. How can we help? Somebody we know that has PTSD or PTS. What can we do for them? So we need to recognize triggers that are occurring. We need to make sure that we establish an emotional and intellectual connection with those people. Nurturing, understanding, intimacy, empathy, and vulnerability. How else can we help? Effective communication. One of the biggest keys is effective listening. Community connection, a mentor, a therapist, a spiritual connection. Empowerment, not enable, but empower those individuals. Educate ourselves. Begin to learn. If somebody in your family or close friend begins to develop cancer or Hashimoto's or anything in their life, you're going to do your due diligence to do some research. Unbiased. So begin to do the same thing with people with PTS. Dive in, research as much as you can. Educate yourself. Spend time in self-care together. What does that mean? What does that person enjoy doing? Do they enjoy fishing or boating or hiking or walking or canoeing or kayaking or surfing, whatever it is, they want to go to the beach. Spend time with that person. Connect on that level with them. Find a safe, calm, relaxing environment. Clean your space. Get rid of the chaos. Get rid of the clutter. Allow them to find a space. I would say this. If you've ever been to church and you walk into a temple and it's clean and it's organized, that's what your life should be. Everything in your life should be a temple. Everything in your life should have this spiritual connection, okay? Be the best version of yourself. What does that look like for you? How can you be the best version of yourself so you can give that to your community and you can give that to your loved one, the person in your life that has PTS? Always grow and learn. Productive discomfort. Find the opportunity to stretch and grow and find strength and resilience. Never creating pain for yourself or others, but productive discomfort. Now, I just want you to be cautious of any organization, anybody out there that says that they can heal and cure PTSD. Now, that really depends on that person's level of trauma, their exposure to trauma, and how frequently it occurs. So, veterans, people with PTSD that have been exposed to war, or essential personnel that are exposed to it over and over and over and over again. That it can be subdued. It may get to the point where it's not as strong and pertinent, but I want you to just be very careful and very cautious if anybody says that they can cure PTSD. After a traumatic event, people with decreased activity in the hippocampus experience worse PTSD symptoms. Hippocampal impairments are reliably associated with post-traumatic stress disorder. So hippocampus is a complex brain structure embedded deep in the temporal lobe and has a major role in learning and memory. Think about it as a plastic and vulnerable structure that gets damaged by a variety of stimuli. All right? Mindfulness meditation that shrinks the amygdala, that helps us get rebalanced. Addiction may occur after any traumatic event. Become aware of behavior changes. Connect with a mentor, counselor, or addiction recovery expert. Trauma can be stored as chronic pain. 20% of those that experience trauma will develop PTS. So think about this on another aspect. Now, I do not know, the rate and rate of suicide for those with PTS. Those are rate of suicide that are veterans, right? But I do know like fibromyalgia, which I have, is a 10% higher rate of suicide than the general population. So me having PTS, me being a Gulf War veteran, and me having fibromyalgia, I have a lot higher rate than the general population. So just become aware of where you fit in those statistics and maybe the significant other in your life. The relationship between lifetime trauma burden and various mental health issues of relevance to the U.S. So veterans that meditate and veterans that are mindful, or the ability to pay attention to the present moment, interventions that bolster mindfulness help mitigate the negative impact of cumulative traumas in this population. Okay, symptoms. Unwanted memories of the trauma, avoidance of situations, heightened reactions, anxiety, depressions, and mood swings. re-experiencing symptoms, flashbacks, reliving the traumatic event, including physical symptoms such as racing heart or sweating, reoccurring memories or dreams related to the event, distressing thoughts, physical signs of stress. Thoughts and feelings can trigger these symptoms as words, objects, or situations that remember of the event. So think about that. If essential personnel is driving by scenes of traumatic events, or veterans, and when we put on the uniform or drive, or things in movies or objects in the news or whatever it may be, right? We're reliving, re-experiencing those events over and over. So behavioral aspects with people with PTS: agitation, irritability, hostility, hypervigilance, self-destructive behavior, social isolation, staying away from places, events, or objects that are reminders of the experience, as well as correlating events from other experiences as well. Marathons, movie theaters, right? Schools, all of that, traumatic events that we relive. Avoidance symptoms may cause people to change their routines. For example, after a serious accident, a person may avoid driving or riding in a car, or avoiding that situation as they drive on the highway or through a road where they saw a traumatic event. They may want to avoid that. Arousal and reactivity symptoms: being easily started, feeling tense or on guard or on edge, having difficulty concentrating, having difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, feeling irritable, and having angry or aggressive outbursts, engaging in risky or reckless or destructive behavior. Arousal symptoms are often present. They can lead to feelings of stress and anger and may interfere with parts of daily life such as sleeping, eating, or concentrating. Psychological: flashbacks, fear, severe anxiety, mistrust. We got to get to the why. Why are we mistrust? Why do we have anxiety? Why do we have fear? Why do we have the flashbacks? Start diving in and journal this journey. Cognitive and mood: loss of interest in previous activities, pleasure in activities, ongoing negative thoughts such as fear, anger, guilt, or shame. We don't care anymore. We feel like we're not making a difference. We've lost our purpose. Life would be better without us. All those thoughts, right? Loneliness, feeling of social isolation, negative thoughts about oneself or the world, distorted thoughts about the event that cause feelings of blame, difficulty feeling positive emotions such as happiness or satisfaction. Cognitive and mood symptoms can begin to worsen after the traumatic event and could lead a person to feeling detached from friends or family members. Sleep, insomnia, and nightmares. Common traits: emotional detachment, unwanted thoughts. PTSD development: exposure to dangerous events or traumas, getting hurt or seeing others, getting hurt or killed. Childhood trauma: feeling horror, helplessness, or extreme fear. Having little or no social support after the event. And that is more true, especially for men today. Men in the military or essential personnel, we don't have the support system. We were trained as young that if we started to cry and show emotions, is toughen up, stop being a baby, stop crying, stop acting like a girl, whatever, the person told us in our life. We begin to hinder those thoughts, feelings, and emotions. We begin to hide them, and now we feel as adults that we can't be vulnerable, that we can't share our emotions. So we need to have that support system. We need to have a great support system after every traumatic event that we can go to a place, reset, heal, and recover. Dealing with extra stress after the event, such as the loss of a loved one, pain, injury, a loss of a job or home. Having a personal history, a family history of mental illness and substance abuse. Now, a lot of times it's not just the mental aspect, but it's the aspect of, I would say, like not in the DNA, but the ability to have this behavior learned. Your parents were hoarders, so you're going to be a hoarder. Your parents were alcoholics, you're going to be an alcoholic. You follow the same pattern because you're familiar and it's easy. Get out of that mode of thinking. Push yourself. Productive discomfort. Reducing PTSD development. Seek out support from friends, family, support groups. So somebody you know, always encourage them. Provide them a path of acceptance, unconditional love, non-judgment. That they're okay with where they are today and that you are going to do whatever you can to help them on this journey, in this path. Learning to feel okay with one's actions in response to a traumatic event. Having a coping strategy for getting through and learning from a traumatic event. This is what we've learned from this. This is how we're going to handle it the next time. We're going to reset after this event. We're going to focus on self-care. We're going to be mindful. We're going to be meditative. We're going to spend the time that we need to recover, repair, bond, yoke, What does that look like in our life, right? This is how we're going to handle the situation going forward. Next time the situation occurs, this is what we're going to do different. Being prepared and being able to respond to upsetting events as they occur despite feeling of fear. Self-help. What can we do for ourselves? Talk to your healthcare provider about treatment options. Find stress reduction activities. Set routines. Get up and make your bed every day. Get up and be mindful, meditative. Spend the time in self-care each and every morning. Set yourself up for success. How can you be the best version of yourself today? What stress reduction activities, a hike, a walk, a bike, a jog, a swim, a run, whatever it may be, reduce your stress. Get that toxic energy out. Keep your house clean and organized, your car clean. Every room in your house, you have a place for everything in your house. Set routines. Avoid alcohol and drugs. It's not going to do anything but bring you down mentally, physically, spiritually. It'll bankrupt you. Realistic expectations, realistic goals, community connection, and effective communication. Make sure that you're listening to yourself, first of all, and those around you. A lot of times we have these goals that are unachievable, and we have expectations that are unachievable. Set realistic goals and expectations of yourself and others. Helping others. What can we do for others? What can you do for somebody that you know that has PTS? Offer emotional support. Offer understanding, patience, and encouragement. Find gratitude through this situation. Learn about PTSD. Just like anybody in your life, if they were going to get cancer, Hashimoto's, any of those things, what can you do on your time, your resource, to learn as much as you can? What resources are out there for you to educate yourself unbiased, so you can understand what your friend, your family member, your companion for life is going through, what they're experiencing. Listen carefully. Pay attention to the person's feelings and the situations that may trigger PTSD symptoms. It could be news articles. It could be a movie. It could be driving through a scene. It could be re-experiencing those events through a variety of different things. It could be music. Whatever it may be, but become aware of that. Share positive distractions such as walk. I'm going to talk about self-care. Get in self-care with those people each and every day. Outings and other activities. So what we're going to talk about now is codependency. Now you're going to realize that a lot of the traits and aspects of codependency are also the traits of PTSD. So what I think happens to a lot of us is that we've intertwined those. So we may experience PTSD and then we've become codependent, or we were codependent, we experienced PTSD, and it made our codependency, more amplified. So in the simplest terms, codependency is a pattern of putting other people's needs in front of your own. Codependency fuels depression. Codependency traits: boundary issues, underlying guilt, trust issues, control issues, hypercritical sense of self. I'm just going to go through these really quick here. Codependency symptoms: difficulty expressing needs, exhaustion. Are you always tired? Do you always say you're exhausted? I'm always tired. Fear of abandonment, hopelessness, irritability, lack of boundaries, low self-esteem, sadness, shame, taking the blame for others. Possible codependency outcomes: burnouts, declining physical health, difficulty with emotional intimacy, disappointment in other people, unfulfilled needs, rocky relationships, substance to use cope. Stay away from alcohol, drugs. Stay away from sugar as much as you can. Don't go through that bag of chips or that whole thing of ice cream or Doritos or whatever it is. Get to the why. Why do I want to take that drink? Why do I want to use drugs or alcohol? Self-care options for independence, right? We want to empower, not enable. Yoga. Yoga is a whole way of life. Holistic, get enough sleep, eating right, healthy relationships, turning conflict into intimacy, healthy boundaries, exercise, Ayurveda, everything. All of that in your life is yoga. Now there's physical types of yoga: hatha, vinyasa, power vinyasa, heated vinyasa, aerial, yin, deep stretch, a massage, journaling. Journal your journey, thoughts, feelings, and emotions, reading, educate yourself and others all the time. Get to the why. If you have a specific topic you want to know about, study it. Emotional intelligence. Dive into some great books about emotional intelligence. Codependency, PTSD. There's a plethora of information out there. Read, learn, push yourself. Get in the sauna, get in the hot tub, take a cold or hot bath or shower, get out in nature. Tons of studies out there that nature really helps reset, heal, recover. Take a hike, mindfulness and meditation. Engage in that all day, every day, throughout the day. Codependency characteristics: an exaggerated sense of responsibility for the actions of others, a tendency to confuse love and pity with a tendency to love people they can pity and rescue. A tendency to do more than their share all of the time. A tendency to become hurt when people don't recognize their efforts. An unhealthy dependency on relationships. The codependent will do anything to hold on to a relationship to avoid the feeling of abandonment. Codependency characteristics: an extreme need for approval and or recognition, a sense of guilt when asserting themselves, compelling need to control others, lack of trust in self and or others, fear of being abandoned or alone, difficulty identifying feelings. Codependency characteristics: rigidity, difficulty adjusting to change, problems with intimacy or boundaries, chronic anger, lying, dishonesty, poor communications, difficulty making decisions. These are all characteristics. Here are some signs of codependency. Do you keep quiet to avoid arguments? These are questions. I'm going to go through 2 slides of these. Are you always worried about others' opinions of you? Have you ever lived with someone with an alcohol or drug problem? Have you ever lived with someone who hits or belittles you? Are the opinions of others more important than your own? Do you have difficulty adjusting to changes at work or home? Do you feel rejected when significant others spend time with friends? Do you doubt your ability to be who you want to be? Are you uncomfortable expressing your true feelings to others? Have you ever felt inadequate? Do you feel like a bad person when you make a mistake? Do you have difficulty taking compliments or gifts? Do you feel humiliation when your child or spouse makes a mistake? Do you think people in your life would go downhill without your constant efforts? Do you frequently wish someone could help you get things done? Do you have difficulty talking to people in authority, such as police or your boss? Are you confused about who you are or where you're going with your life? Do you have trouble saying no when asked for help? Do you have trouble asking for help? And do you have so many things going on at once that you can't do justice to any of them? Stop trying to multitask. That would be like me trying to paint and change the light fixtures. I painted and I changed the light fixtures. I changed the light fixtures and I paint. I can't change the light fixture and paint simultaneously. What kind of crazy wackadoodle idea is that? Stop multitasking. Action steps. Take accountability and acknowledge your behavior. This is where I'm at. This is where I want to be. This is where I'm going, right? Get to the why and become more curious on everything: thoughts, feelings, actions, behaviors. Knowing what you like and what matters to you. Not being afraid to ask for what you want. Spend time with family and friends. Continue to pursue your personal goals. Now I'm going to include in that mission statement. Get a mission statement. Each and every morning, get up, be mindful, meditate, set your intention for that day. That is the underlying current. That intention of acceptance will drive everything that you engage in each and every day throughout that day. So acceptance. When you're driving down the road, you find acceptance for you and others. Non-judgment. Maybe it's strength or courage. Every conversation, every interaction is going to be based around that intention of courage, of acceptance, of non-judgment. Whatever your intention is, that's your underlying current. That is really what's driving you on each and every single interaction that you have with yourself and others throughout the day. Be mindful of your values. Make time for activities, hobbies, and interests. Don't be afraid to say no. Establish those healthy boundaries. Don't keep yourself small or hidden to please others. Spend time alone. Boredom stimulates and creates creativity. Get bored so you can become more creative. Engage in self-care in the morning, afternoon, and evening. Whatever that looks like for you. The more trauma, the more PTSD, the more toxic, the more time you need to spend in self-care. Self-care is going to allow you to heal, recover, repair. Healthy boundaries. Establish them personally and professionally. Community connection, retreats, holiday, mentor, family, friends, and therapy. Ask for assistance and help. Engage in mindfulness and meditation. We remember 10% of what we hear, 70% of what we write, 90% of what we practice. Now I'm going to include in this a link if you want to sign up. Now there is a Google Classroom, and then it has all the material that I use for this presentation, some books, some resources. It's going to be an opportunity for you to connect with the community as well in this link, and to ask further questions and to see how other people have responded. So please click the link and sign up. Get this in your Google Classroom. If there's anything I can do for any one of you, please let me know. I love you. I hope you have a great week.